Everybody, it's me, Andrew. Get out into nature and tune in for yourself. Resonate with the Earth's electromagnetic field via 432 hertz, the universal frequency. Balance out psychologically and emotionally, and further strengthen your brain and your heart's coherence as well. Get a plant based diet going for yourselves today and nurture yourself right back into life. We are literally herbivores in our nature. Further balance out your physical body's pH level and get with alkalinity. Then you can generate some static electricity, send me some love telepathically, set attention to your mind, and set intention to communicate. That is all there is to telepathy. You are now tuning in to great days. So today I wanted to talk about blissfulness and being in a blissful state, how to come into bliss, and irradiating a bliss right unto others. Okay, so let's get into this. Um, so bliss, what is bliss? Bliss is pretty much like an emotionally sweet state, right? When you're very, very sweetened to the core, you are in a state of bliss, right? And you're emotionally sweetened to the core because you have been able to touch upon the core of being, right? This is simple, extremely simple. When you look at babies, I'll use a baby as an example. When you look at babies, babies are very blissful in their nature, right? Unless you startle them or you scare them, then they start crying, or they kind of come out of a state of sweetness into a state of terror, right? So um, if you look at a baby when they're joyful, or when they're just being, like when they're just doing what they're doing, uh, they're in a state of bliss, right? And I use the baby as an example because the baby is found within everybody, right? Everybody is a child. Everybody has a baby within them. You grow up, yeah, but down in the subconscious, you are still that same baby that you grown from. Like the tree grows from a seed, and the tree in its maturity produces 1,000 more seeds or more, right? So that same seed, the baby, when matured, produces a million more babies, right? So the baby is still found within that tree, the same uh, model of the baby, right? Or the same seed is found there because it's still there. So a baby is in bliss, right? And we are all in bliss as well. Um, Once you're able to get beyond all the misidentifications, right, which are given to you as you begin to mature, as you begin to grow, as you begin to crystallize the various different things that you are consuming throughout the process of growth from an infant. When you're in the womb, you're blissful or beyond blissfulness, because you're in a cosmic consciousness in the womb, because you're floating in like a spaciousness. That's what the womb is. It's the cosmos you're floating in, right? And you're in a cosmic consciousness when you're in the womb. This is why the mother, when she is pregnant, she has a deep connection to the entirety of the universe, and they're so in tune with themselves, because they are picking up off of the baby, or they're in a state of deep unification with one another, because they are one person at that stage. When you're in your mother's womb, you're in you're one person. You and your mother are one person when you are in the womb. There's no difference. So the separation, because there was no separation when you were at the very core. Um, the separation comes after you're born, right? And you start to exist in the world, right? And the separation doesn't actually exist because it never did exist, right? Um, because deeper in our being, we still are in that same state of consciousness, which is a which is a deep unity consciousness, as though we never left the womb. Uh, so it can be touched upon. You can go deeper into your mind, into the dimensions of the mind. You can go beyond all the conditions, the layer of conditions that have come with societal ways. You can deprogram. You can clean the slate, and you can go deeper into your being. You can touch upon your own core of being, and the deeper you go into the core of being, you can touch upon those same states of unity consciousness, right? Which is what you want, because touching upon this is going to allow you to come into deeper states of being, right? Which in these deeper states of being, all the illusion is dissolved away, you know. Um, and that's exactly what you want. You want to dissolve away the illusion, because the illusion is only here to keep you in lower states of awareness, right? Everything that you think is real is an illusion, because you're thinking it's real. And thoughts don't actually exist either. The mind doesn't even exist. The mind was created and it was given to you so that you can continue entangling in the complexities that make it up to sustain an illusory world, Maya. So the mind doesn't actually exist. Uh, and people who meditate all day have had this realization, or they have dissolved away the illusory reality that of the world, that's of the world. So the mind doesn't actually exist. Um, but it was something that was created to keep us entangled, right, within the illusory world. So once you start touching upon the core, your corazon, core, your heart, core is in the word corazon. The heart, once you start touching upon your heart more, and the tree of life, once you come back into in tune with it, you can raise your life energy and your health. And this is what is needed, because this is actually going to allow you to come back into a blissful state of being, rather than entangling yourself in complex ways of living, when life never needs to be complex. It never was, never needed to be, because things are blissful in their nature. If you look at all animals they're blissful, you know. Um, Unless you're looking at them when they're getting hunted, then they're terrified, but beyond the threatening of their life, their nature is blissfulness. And it's the same for you. It's just that you're probably always getting hunted, right, by things you can't see. So another part of you which you can't access, or you don't usually access because you don't exercise your ability to access deeper abilities of you. You're blinded to what is potentially keeping you in a state of terror. So the moment that you open all that up to what is potentially there to bring terror irrationally, then you can kind of cessate all that illusory terror, and you can come into a state of understanding, and that is expansion of awareness. Understanding corresponds with the crown chakra. So once you start understanding more, um, you start to use the higher brain, the higher mindedness comes in, and a higher mindedness is going to allow you to come into pure states of awareness. So um, you definitely want to be able to touch upon pure states of awareness without thought, because it's going to allow you to come back into a blissful state, right? And this is where you're going to nourish yourself back into a liveliness, um, because the illusion of mind is to entangle you very deeply into into concept and into complex, you know, and because of this, it kind of drains you if you're imbalanced, which is the way of society, is to imbalance us, you know, to live, no, to be living in the mind, and to be very efficient, and to be very mechanistic, to be robotic, you know, and to think 24/7. This is very draining, and you can't do it. Um, it's not healthy to do it all the time, but society is making it the norm, and they're only pushing for it more and more, right? Especially with like technologies on the uprise. So you got to balance it out. You got to learn how to cessate mental activity, you know, kind of like subside it, and you got to just allow the heart to irradiate its its blissfulness, right? So you can come back into a life, a liveliness, a health, so you can derive nutrition from the source, which is the core. The source and the core are the same thing. This is why they rhyme, source, core. Uh, you got to resonate with the pulsation of the source of creation, right? When you do this, you raise your health up, and this is beyond food, this is beyond water, this is beyond anything that is considered uh, sustenance. You know, something that's gonna give you life from like the outside. This is something that is constantly giving you life from the inside, right? And is like all permeating, or or omniscient, or even omnipresent, right? Consciousness. So you touch upon the core, you focus yourself in the heart more often, and this allows you to bring a liveliness in to your life. Uh, and then the more that you start doing that, the more that you start revolving around this, the more that it allows you to observe things as they are, rather than living in the projections of the complexities of mind that has been created to continue entangling you in an illusory world to support your own enslavement. Because this is all the mind was created for, to enslave you, and the mind doesn't actually exist, but it's just another concept. But conceptual reality doesn't actually exist, because it's just a very, very minute uh, dimension of intellect or intelligence. One of the two, I don't know which one it is. Um, but one of these two, very, very minute dimension of one of these dimensions of mind. It's dimension with the dimension. So um, then allow yourself to fall out of the mind, to lose your mind, right? And by this, I mean lose the mind. Don't use your mind to lose it. Use it as a tool, that's okay, but don't use it 24/7, right? You don't really carry your wrench around 24/7 unless you're like a mechanic, but you don't sleep with the wrench, right? People are sleeping thinking 24/7, so that's not healthy, you know. And that's the way society wants you to be. Society wants you to be on your phone, consuming information, consuming stimulation to desensitize you to the various different increasing toxicants throughout society's way of being, right? Because society is very toxic in the way that it's doing things, um, and everything informationally that you're consuming is to support that toxification. Um, so the information that you're getting from everything around you is a stimulant, like coffee, right? It's a stimulant because it's stimulating you, but it's just information. It's just light, um, but it's algorithmed in a certain way, or it's in a certain rhythm. It's in a certain algorithm that has been decided already by higher up people, and they're to keep you stimulated, keep information transmitted into your subconscious so that they can subliminally program you to then have you, the individual, create a reality that is of their desire, because they need multiple people who are mind controlled. And this is what the Vatican is all about. The Vatican is all about mind control. The Vatican controls people's minds, right? The Vatican is not a good place. Okay, they've been doing terrible things for millennia, thousands and thousands of years, right? So the Vatican keeps the globe controlled, and and they get multiple people, they get mass people, right? Billions of people. The Vatican kind of hoards up these billions of people, and through all of the same algorithms that have been transmitted into those billions of people, they can create a global reality according to the subliminal information that has been stirred up within them that they have decided, um, and then their desired reality gets created because multiple people creating one reality or focusing on one reality uh, allows that reality to manifest itself beyond the rate at which one individual can manifest a singular reality or a singular space-time continuum, right? So if me alone was just trying to manifest some type of reality for myself, it's going to take, let's say it takes 2 days, no, let's say it takes a week, right, for me to do a certain thing, manifest something. If I get 10 more people in here and we all focus on the same thing, it's to take 1 day, or it's going to take half a day, you know. So the more people you have in here to focus on one reality to manifest it, the less time it takes, because there's more energy being invested into it. And that's what they're doing. They're getting people. The Vatican is getting people in mass. They're getting billions of people to focus on one single reality, which has been decided through fear as well, uh, so that the globe is decided through those billions of people, right? So they're just kind of controlling people. They're programming people, um, and you can kind of free yourself from this little trap by understanding, having the realization that the mind doesn't exist. So you can come back into the heart, the tree of life, right? Because the mind was just created for them to allow, the mind was just created for them to be able to do that very thing. So if you come back into the heart, touch back into the heart, you can grant yourself life again, because that's where life is, the heart, the source. You connect yourself with the source more, and you can literally start seeing that bliss is going to arise, right? Because not really arise, but more realized, because it is a state of realization. Um, because bliss is always there. Once again, it's literally the nature of things. Everything is in bliss. Like babies, before you go terrorizing them, they're in states of bliss. If you don't scare a child and you just look at the child, they're in a blissful state. Animals, if you don't scare an animal and it's not being hunted, the animal's in bliss, right? And it's the same for you. You're not different just because you're an adult and you've grown vulgar and desensitized and whatever it is, dull and numb and miserable, doesn't mean that you're not blissful. You just gotta lose all that, right? Because it's just something that has grown there, but it's illusory. It doesn't actually exist. And you need to go beyond the layers of conditioning to be able to touch upon that blissfulness. Uh, but they count on the layers and conditioning to support that whole system of enslavement, which you can liberate yourself from. You liberate yourself from it um, by dissolving boundaries, doing things like this, touching upon the heart, realizing the state of bliss, um, flowing with the universe. You know, these are all things that you can do for yourself to be able to liberate yourself from the various different systems that they got to support entanglement and whatnot, right? But bliss, very, very easily attained or very easily realized as you touch upon the core of being, your heart, right? So, that's going to be it for today's video. I do thank everybody for watching once again. Peace out, one love, and have a great evening.